help bouncing somebody out of here, and we just want to be ready. Would you mind? Somebody was smoking meth, brandishing a knife, and he threatened someone. Okay. Okay.
Hey, Steve, how are you?
How's everything?
If someone wants to say something about go on, Lawrence. Go on, Lawrence. Anybody? No,
She said, lost my quick. All right. Go ahead.
This mic is on too. This one is out. Hot mic. All right. Hello. Andre, where did you go?
He in the back.
Oh, well, if that be the case, here she is. This is Andre Special. She's the ringleader of this. She's Canvas Fires Club of Berkeley, CBCB, and all are very, very familiar. Beautiful. We have a big work back there.
Somebody stand up, just wave. Thank you, guys.
And I just want to make clear that, you know, I'm here on the shoulders of giants. So Dr. Satoru and alumni organization is really bringing back the community survival program. And we're just so honored, along with Auntie Francis and the whole crew. We're honored. Yeah, power to the people. We're so honored to be it takes everybody. You know, there's so many people that are part of what we're doing here. And, you know, a few of you guys, I think, were with us at the beginning. We started in the driveway of CBCB, you know, and with just a handful of people, and we've expanded to what we have today. And so I want to thank everybody for your patience as we, you know, all work together as we grow. You guys see how, you know, from the few people in the driveway to a full house at the church. So thank you for all being a part of this. We couldn't do this without everybody. And, you know, the climate today, the political climate today is one of such, I think the powers that be want to keep everybody separate, want to keep everybody fighting. And now it's more time than ever to double down on us all coming together. Because there's power in these people, and power to these people. And we are the people, right? So I thank you one and all for this wonderful day. And then just a couple things I do want to say is that, you know, we're all, as we grow and stuff, we're all doing our best to make this the smoothest experience for everybody. I know there's been a little bit of issues in the line, so I just want to remind everybody, please be super respectful to the seniors and the disabled people. When we call for the meals, we're going to bring up the seniors and disabled people first. And, you know, in general, same thing out in the line. If there's ever any problems, just let us know and we'll come and handle this together as a group. You know, always looking for volunteers, always looking for people to come together. We're having some educational components every month, and so we're gonna have some people come up and talk like that. And, I'm just super grateful that everybody's here and coming together. You know, my past, that I myself used to live on the street. I've been to jail, you know, for cannabis, and just fought through, and just really grateful today to be alive and free. And so, you know, the message that I have is no matter where you're at, never count yourself out, never let them count you out. Because as long as you have a breath in you, there's always a way to go up. And so, thank you guys so much for being part of this journey and being part of this presentation. And so one of the amazing educational components we have a pharmacist, Chris, that drives down all the way from Sacramento, that's gonna talk to us about pharmaceutical medications, and is going to be available afterwards. He's going to set up over there for some individual consultations, because part of the power is health and being strong, and, you know, ourselves for this fight. So thank you all so much.
I think it's been a year since we started this program, huh? Yeah, it's coming quick, because I just remember last year we were out in that alley and it was like 100 degrees or something. But anyways, well, thanks for everyone showing up. I'm super glad to be here. My name is Chris. I've been a pharmacist for about 26 years. I currently work for the medical program, which I'm sure most of you know that. I also still work at CVS doing traditional pharmacy stuff. So I'm here to answer any questions regarding medications. One thing I always like to promote is that we have to be in charge of our own health. We have to know what we're putting in our bodies, why we're putting it in our bodies, and try to be as healthy as we can. It's very tough in this world we live in. It's very fast paced. There's a lot of junk food all over the place, but you know, we got to do our best in these times to try and stay healthy. And you know, as they say, health is wealth, or good health is wealth, right? So I will be here till the end of the program. I'll be talking in that corner over there, so just feel free to come up once the program's done. Ask me any questions. Like I said, I do work for the Medi-Cal program. I oversee the drug formulary for that program, so if anybody has questions on the benefit, when it comes to medications, anything like that, I can definitely do my best to answer those. But, wow, I can see them. And, other than that, anything, if anyone has questions on the medication, any interaction with cannabis, or anything at all, to the best of my capabilities, I'm definitely provide some information. I'm going to have to tell you, hey, you need to talk to your doctor about that. Another thing, immunizations is like a weird thing going on right now. A lot of strange information coming out. But yesterday I was in the CVS, I must have done 3 immunizations. So they're still available. If anyone has any questions on that, I can kind of direct you in that way. And other than that, looking forward to talking to you whenever you need help. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris, and he will be available for individual consult, and thank you. It's, help is wealth. Yes. And so next we're going to have a really old friend of mine, somebody that I've worked with in the activist community for over 20 years, and he's just going to give a brief presentation about jury nullification. It's really important, you know, as corrupt laws get into place, as, you know, the powers that be change hands. There's one thing that can stay steady, and if you are on the jury, you can vote your conscience. And so he's just going to talk a little bit about that, because there's so much power in being on the jury and voting your conscience. Start out.
Thank you so much.
How are y'all doing today? great to see so many folks out here. Unfortunately, there's always people that probably would like to be here and deserve to be here who can't be with us. How many in the room know somebody who's incarcerated right now? There's so many laws in this country and around the world that punish people just for doing things that are not harming anybody else, whether it's using your medication, some other banned substance, weapons possession, parole condition violations, prostitution, gambling, things that are consensual. And a lot of the authorities, how many of you here have heard of the 4 boxes of freedom? Anybody? Well, we mentioned voting earlier. That's one of them, the ballot box. Anybody want to guess any others? Please stick your saying what was that?
Oh,
Okay, you got the ballot, you got the soapbox, which I'm kind of using right now. That's free speech, your right to freedom of speech. And you got the jury box, and then you got the one you hope you don't have to use, the ammo box. If all else fails, the government's repressive, and you can't change it through elections, you can't change it through free speech, you can't change it by overturning the laws when they're trying to enforce bad laws on people. Then, push comes to shove, maybe you have the right to defend yourself. But today I want to talk briefly about, as I said, jury nullification. That is when you go to serve on a jury, you could potentially keep somebody out of jail who doesn't deserve to be there, save years of somebody's life. So it's really a serious thing. And a lot of people try to get out of jury duty. And I'll tell you right now, if you are trying to get out of jury, you really can't be there, you need to make money or whatever, just mention jury nullification. And they will, in all likelihood, not let you on the jury. I was thrown out of a jury in San Francisco after I was already impaneled for telling the other jurors about this and distributing flyers to them. And they called me before the judge and said, "Do you distribute these flyers? You are violating your oath as a juror." And I said, "I think you're violating your oath as a judge for not letting people know about this stuff." And he was so furious. He had the bailiff escort me right out of the building. So that's an easy way to go. But if at all possible, because it is, you get just one person. There are some states like Louisiana where, they'll try to say like, oh, well, they only need 10 out of 12 votes on the jury to convict. But it's supposed to be always 12. And this goes way back to English Commonwealth, before the United States was even a country, the Greek nullification. They used to, under the crown, they would lock the jurors in a room and not give them anything but bread and water until they came back with the verdict that the monarchy wanted them to return, which of course guilty. But it later got established as precedent that jurors have the right to vote for their conscience. And there's a famous case, British governor of New York was involved in the corruption scandal, and there's a newspaper publisher named Peter Singer who printed something about it. And the governor sued him for libel, and under the law he would have been guilty as the law was written at that time, but the jury refused to convict him because the information was true. And so he got off. And later it was used to keep people during the slavery era. The slaves who were away to the north, sometimes juries refused to convict them under the Fugitive Slave Act. So it kept runaway slaves from being returned to their masters. And going forward, today it keeps people out of jail for drugs and other crimes. So, super important. If you get into a courtroom, the judge will tell you generally, your job as a juror, if you're sitting on this jury, is to enforce the law as I explain it to you. So if you find if the defendant broke the law as you are instructed as to what the law is in this case, you must find them guilty, unless you have a reasonable doubt that they did not do it. But they will not tell you that you can also judge the law itself if it's an unjust law. Martin Luther King said unjust laws deserve to be broken. And it is your right, and it is an important right, it's one of 4 boxes of freedom, to stop unjust laws from being enforced. And that's one way that we keep government from getting out of control and punishing people for things that shouldn't be crimes. One of the world's highest incarceration rates in this country today. So, and besides the law itself, there's also how the law is enforced. Maybe enforced on the basis of racial profiling, or, they just didn't like you as a person. There's a lot of people in positions of high power, unfortunately, sometimes who like to just abuse their authority just because they can, you know? And so they'll arrest people for things, you know, if it wasn't really solid evidence or whatever, to the wrong house. So, yeah, if you get called and you're sitting in the jury box before you're selected for the jury, they'll ask you all these questions about your political beliefs. You don't have to volunteer any information, and I think it's perfectly ethical to say whatever you need to say to get on that jury. You know, as long as you're not like a personal friend of the defendant or something, and that's legitimate reason to keep somebody on the jury. They have a personal connection to the case. But if it's just your political beliefs, you know, people are dismissed from juries if they don't believe in the death penalty. You know, if it's a capital punishment case. And that is so wrong because it's supposed to be a jury of peers. That's the whole point of the jury system. 12 people should have to agree that this person, you know, violated a real serious law and deserves to be in jail for years. And so when they screen people out because you don't like police officers and you don't believe the death penalty or you don't believe the drug laws or this kind of thing, that is completely illegitimate. So I think it's perfectly ethical to just say, oh yeah, I'm okay with all that. I can follow the laws instructed. You know, I believe in these laws. I'll convict them if they're found guilty. And then you go in that room and vote your conscience, and they cannot punish you for that. You know, you don't have to tell them why you rendered your verdict of not guilty. You can just say, I don't think the government proved their case. You know, I have a reasonable doubt. They can't say anything else. I mean, there's a famous case in the 90s named a woman named Laura Creho in Colorado, who they did try to go after as a juror because she voted to acquit in a drug case. And they were not able to successfully punish her, so people won that one. And since then, you know, they've not been able to punish any jurors for the verdicts. So even though they can throw you off the jury, you know, they can chew you out or whatever, if they think you're you know, spreading this kind of information, you know, they cannot legally punish you for anything that you can vote as a juror. So if you get the chance, please do vote and try to get on that jury, you know, potentially save somebody years in jail. And if there's anybody here who's got a card today or somewhere else who can put one of these stickers, juries come out and punish their verdicts. I got some 2-3 stickers here for people. I don't have as many as the flyers, but
How do you feel about redistricting?
redistricting, well, that's a whole different issue. I see how they chat about it, but I don't think I've got enough time. Audrey told me actually only have 5 minutes, and I'm probably over right now. One more sticker, anybody with cards? FIJA.org is the Fully Informed Jury Association, for anybody who wants to look at more information about this. Fully Informed Jury Association, FIJA.org. I hope they're still in business because I actually tried to order flyers for this event from them, and I never heard back. I never got the flyers. So I never print out these black and white copies of it. I have nice color links for it all. But they do still have information on their website you can go and check out. It's a great resource. If anybody has any other questions, feel free to come up and ask me afterwards. And thanks all so much for your time and attention. And power to the people.
I just want to say, you know, I saw this happen in action right after 215 was passed, which was the medical cannabis law. There was places, especially like Sacramento, they doubled down. They started going after people really hard because they said, we don't believe in this law. The police said, we don't believe in this law. And you know what? You're not allowed to do that. That's, you know, a law is a law. It doesn't matter what you think as law enforcement or a court. And we actually saw juries come back because people had been protesting out front and handing out information about voting your conscience. So it's a really, really powerful thing, and thank you, Star Child, so much. And yes, so now I'd like to bring up Dr. Sakura, which, you know, is why we're here today. They're bringing back the Community Survival Program, which we're trying to hit everything that we're talking about, everything that we're doing today is part of community survival. And as you see, it's all these people coming together. And so we just can't say it enough. Power to the people and power in the people. And don't, you know, as they're trying to split us up and break us apart, you know, on